In Lesson 2.6, you created a two-dimensional array of bool variables to indicate the position of mines for a Minesweeper game. In this lesson, you'll add code to iterate through each element in your two-dimensional array and make the web application fully functional. To begin, open the Sweep for Mines project from your sample files folder. And open the code behind file of default.aspx if it isn't open already. Now you're going to add some code to iterate through the first dimension of your array. Add the following code at the bottom of the page load event handler. For int x equals 0, x is less than minegrid.getLength 0 x++. This is a simple for loop. The getLength method is used to get the number of elements in a specified dimension of an array. You want the length of the array's first dimension, so you asked for dimension 0. Next, you're going to add another for loop inside the first one to loop through the second dimension of the array. Add the following code inside your for loop. For int y equals 0, y is less than minegrid.getLength 1 y++. Because this for loop is nested inside the previous one, it will run every time the first for loop cycles. This means that for every address on the x-axis, the code will iterate through every address on the y-axis. This technique allows you to iterate through each element in any two-dimensional array. You could also easily adapt this code to iterate through a three-dimensional array. To do this, you just need to add a third for loop to iterate through the z-axis. You could iterate through even more dimensions by adding even more for loops. Because your for loops will search through every element in the array, you can now check each value. You're searching for a true value, indicating that a mine is present at that location. Add the following code inside the second for loop. If minegrid x y equals true. This code uses the iteration variables from both for loops in order to check every item in the array. For example, the first iteration will check if minegrid 00 equals true. Then the second will check if minegrid 01 equals true, and so on. Next, you'll need to add some code to display the mines in the tables on the page. Add the following code inside the if statement. Table mask dot rows y dot cells x dot css class equals mine here. Table mines dot rows y dot cells x dot css class equals mine. This code adds information to the page that will be recognized by its JavaScript code. Finally, you'll need some code to add the numbers to the grid. Add the following code to the end of the page load event handler. Add numbers minegrid. I've written a fully commented add numbers method that uses the skills you've learned in this lesson to add numbers to the grid in compliance with the rules of the Minesweeper game. You can find this code in the utilities.cs file. Review this code to confirm that you completely understand how it works. After reviewing the code, test the page by viewing default.aspx in your web browser. You'll find that you can click in the cells, and clicking one of the mines will reveal all of the cells and display Game Over. You might be wondering exactly how this page works. This page uses two table controls that are overlaid on top of each other. These ultimately produce the HTML tables on the page. The Table Mines table contains images of mines in the locations that you specified in your MineGrid array, along with the numbers applied by the addNumbers method. The Table Mask table sits on top of Table Mines and hides the mines and numbers from view. When you set the CSS class property of a cell in the Table Mines table to Mine, an image of a mine is displayed in the Table Mines table, although it is initially hidden by the Table Mask table. The page's JavaScript code runs whenever the user clicks a cell in the Table Mask HTML table. The JavaScript code examines the CSS class property of the cell. If the JavaScript code finds a CSS class of Mine here, it hides the Table Mask table and displays Game Over. Otherwise, it simply reveals the cell that the user clicked. This page uses jQuery to show and hide the table cells. You'll learn more about jQuery in Lesson 9.9. Close your web browser now, and close Visual Studio. You've now completed Lesson 2.7. Iterate through a multidimensional array.